The sliding doors of Walmart whispered open as sunlight spilled across the polished floor. It was a regular Thursday morning, busy shoppers, clattering carts, and the faint hum of conversation. Among the crowd was Sergeant Daniel Hayes, a decorated Army veteran who had served 2 tours overseas. Life after service hadn't been easy. His hearing was sharp, his mind trained to detect danger, but his heart often felt out of place in the calm rhythm of civilian life. Daniel walked with a slight limp, pushing a shopping cart filled with the basics: dog food, a few canned meals, and a box of cereal. His service dog Scout padded quietly beside him, eyes alert, tail gently wagging. For Daniel, Scout wasn't just a dog. He was a lifeline. As he turned into the main aisle, he heard a tiny giggle, light, pure, and oddly grounding. He looked up and saw her, a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, standing beside her mother in the checkout line. She had pigtails, a bright yellow dress, and eyes that carried the kind of innocence Daniel thought the world had lost. When she noticed him, she smiled brightly and waved. Just a small, cheerful wave. Daniel froze for a second. He hadn't been waved at like that in years. No hesitation, no fear, no pity. Just pure friendliness. Almost automatically, his hand went up and he waved back with a faint, genuine smile. Her mother turned, noticed him, and gave a polite nod. But something in that split second shifted. Daniel's trained eyes caught a flicker of movement at the store's exit. 2 men, both in hoodies despite the heat outside. One lingered by the automatic doors, pretending to scroll through his phone. The other pushed a nearly empty cart, glancing repeatedly toward the girl and her mother. A quiet alarm went off in Daniel's gut, the kind he couldn't ignore. His instincts, the ones that had kept him alive in the desert, were screaming. He looked around. No one else seemed to notice. People were just going about their shopping, oblivious to the subtle tension building. Daniel's grip tightened on the cart handle. He observed carefully body language, spacing, timing. The man by the door signaled subtly with his hand. The other nodded. Daniel's heart began to pound, not from fear, but from calculation. He'd seen this kind of setup before. Distraction, target, timing. The girl's mother bent to pick up her wallet from the cart, her purse strap dangling loosely over the edge. The man with the phone took a step forward, glancing at her bag. "Scout, stay," Daniel murmured, parking his cart beside an aisle display. Without thinking twice, he adjusted his posture, alert, ready, but calm. Every detail sharpened in his mind. His surroundings became a map. The distance to the woman, 12 feet. The suspects, 15 and 20 feet away. The exit, 10 feet beyond them. He started walking, pretending to browse the shelves near the checkout, but keeping his eyes trained on the situation. One of the men reached toward the cart, quick and precise. "Hey!" Daniel's voice boomed, commanding and deep. The kind that made even trained soldiers freeze. The man jerked his hand back, startled. "You dropped something?" Daniel asked, stepping closer, his tone calm but heavy with authority. The man stammered something about just helping, but his eyes darted nervously toward his friend. The girl's mother straightened, clutching her purse. She looked confused, then alarmed. Daniel's instincts screamed again. There was more. He scanned the area once more and noticed the second man was moving toward the emergency exit on the side of the store. Why? Something wasn't right. Scout barked, a sharp warning bark that echoed through the store. The girl's mother instinctively pulled her daughter close. Shoppers began looking around, whispering. The 2 men exchanged a quick glance, then bolted toward the exit. Daniel sprinted after them, his knee protesting every step. "Stop!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the air. The girl's mother screamed as the automatic doors whooshed open, and chaos erupted. The world around Daniel blurred into motion. The hum of conversation turned to gasps. The rhythm of shopping carts screeching halted. The 2 men sprinted through the exit doors, one pushing through a side path that led toward the parking lot, the other darting behind a row of parked cars. Daniel's instincts roared alive like the thunder of war drums. His knee ached from the sudden sprint, but adrenaline made the pain vanish. "Scout, stay close," he commanded. The loyal dog barked once and charged beside him, muscles tensed and alert. Outside, the sharp sunlight nearly blinded him, but his eyes adjusted fast. He caught sight of the men, hoodies pulled tight, one clutching a small object Daniel couldn't identify at first. It wasn't a wallet. It wasn't money. It looked like, he squinted, a phone. No, a small black device with blinking lights. Hey, stop! Daniel shouted again, his voice cutting through the air. Shoppers outside paused mid-step, watching the veteran chase down two fleeing figures. Some pulled out their phones, filming, assuming it was just another strange incident in a busy Walmart lot. The shorter man tripped near a silver sedan, dropping the device. Daniel was on him in seconds. He grabbed the man's arm and pinned him against the car with practiced precision. "You picked the wrong place to mess around," he growled. "Let me go." "You don't understand," the man hissed. His eyes were wide, not with guilt but fear. Daniel frowned. Something about the tone didn't match a petty thief. "What's this?" he asked, pointing to the device. "No time, no time," the man stammered, glancing at his partner who was frantically typing on a phone near the back of the lot. "He's going to—" A sudden beep echoed from the device. Daniel's blood turned cold. Years of combat experience screamed danger. Without thinking, he snatched the device and hurled it into a nearby trash bin. "Get down!" he yelled, pulling the man to the ground and shielding him as a muffled pop erupted. Smoke, not fire, spilling from the trash bin. A flashbang. Daniel's mind raced. Flashbangs weren't common civilian toys. Someone had brought military-grade gear into a Walmart parking lot. He turned to look at the second man, who was already halfway across the lot, tossing his phone into the bushes before disappearing behind a delivery truck. By now, people were shouting, running for cover. An employee had hit the alarm. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Daniel's breathing steadied, military calm settling over him again. "Who are you?" he demanded, pulling the man upright. "I'm not the bad guy," the man wheezed. "We were trying to stop him. He planted something inside, near the kid and her mom." Daniel froze. "What do you mean inside?" "The guy, he works for a gang. They've been testing devices, trackers. He was going to slip it into her bag." It clicked. Daniel's instincts hadn't been wrong. The mother and daughter weren't just random shoppers, they were targets. But why? He looked toward the entrance where chaos still reigned. The mother clutched her daughter tightly, surrounded by concerned employees. The device inside the store, if there was one, needed to be found immediately. "Stay here," Daniel ordered, pressing the man's arm down against the car. "If you're telling the truth, prove it by not running." He turned to Scout. "Come on, boy." The German shepherd barked once as if understanding the urgency. They ran back toward the entrance, smoke from the flashbang still lingering faintly in the air. Police cars were already pulling into the lot, lights flashing. Inside, Daniel moved fast through the panicked crowd. "Everyone clear the area," he shouted, his voice slicing through the noise with command authority that no one dared challenge. He spotted the mother, the same woman who had smiled politely just minutes earlier, her daughter clinging to her leg, tears welling up. Daniel knelt. "Ma'am, I need you to stay calm," he said firmly. "Did anyone get close to you or your cart earlier?" She nodded shakily. "One of those men brushed by me near the checkout." "I thought he just bumped into me." Daniel checked her cart quickly. Nothing seemed off, until Scout began growling softly near the bottom rack. The dog sniffed, then barked once, tail stiff. Daniel crouched and saw it, a small square tracker taped beneath the cart's frame. Barely visible, a device built not to explode but to follow. He ripped it off carefully, holding it between two fingers. "This could have been a nightmare," he muttered. By now, two officers rushed over. "Sir, step away from the cart," one yelled, gun drawn. "I'm a veteran," Daniel said calmly, holding up his ID. "And that thing was planted under this cart. Get your bomb techs out here, fast." The officers exchanged wary glances. One took the device using a gloved hand, calling it in over the radio. As they spoke, Daniel looked at the little girl, the one who had waved at him so innocently earlier. She was safe, confused, but unharmed. Her small hand clutched her mother's tightly. When she met his gaze again, she smiled faintly through her tears and whispered, "Thank you, mister." Daniel felt a lump rise in his throat. That one simple wave had just saved her life. The flashing red and blue lights painted the Walmart parking lot in a dizzying swirl of color. Curious onlookers gathered at a distance, whispering and filming on their phones, but Daniel Hayes stood still, calm amidst the chaos. The mother and daughter had been escorted to safety inside a patrol car, shaken but unharmed. Scout sat loyally beside Daniel, panting quietly, eyes fixed on the officers handling the strange tracking device. Detective Maria Coleman, a seasoned investigator in her early 40s, approached with a stern yet composed expression. "You're the one who found the device?" she asked, flipping open a notepad. "Yes, ma'am," Daniel replied, handing her his veteran ID. "Sergeant Daniel Hayes, U.S. Army, retired." Maria gave a small nod, jotting down notes. "Witnesses say you stopped one of the suspects before he could get away." "I tried," Daniel said, scanning the lot. "The other one ran behind the trucks. I'm guessing he's long gone by now." Maria's brow furrowed. "Our officers caught the first suspect you tackled. He's refusing to talk until we get him downtown. Claims he was trying to stop the other guy. Any truth to that?" Daniel exhaled, rubbing his temple. "That's what he told me," said the man who escaped, planted the tracker under the mother's cart. Maria crouched beside the evidence table where the tracker now sat, sealed inside a plastic bag. "Our tech team says it's not explosive, but it's custom built. Short-range transmission, encrypted signal, probably connected to a nearby receiver." Daniel's instincts prickled. "Meaning someone was close, watching?" She nodded grimly. "Exactly." As the detective's words sank in, Daniel's mind replayed the scene from earlier. The wave, the mother's bag, the men's nervous glances. None of it felt random. What could they possibly want with her? He murmured. Maria stood, crossing her arms. "We're running background checks on both suspects. The guy you caught, name's Eli Turner, small-time hacker, been in and out of trouble but nothing violent. The one who got away, Ryan Voss, has priors. Theft, cyber intrusion, suspected ties to an organized group we've been watching." Daniel frowned. "Organized group?" "Black Signal," she said, lowering her voice. "They specialize in digital extortion, tracking people, stealing identities, using stolen data for ransom. They don't usually get this close to their targets, though. This is personal." Daniel felt a cold chill crawl up his spine. "So the mother, she was being targeted for ransom?" Maria shook her head. "We don't think so. Not directly. But her husband," she paused, glancing at her notes, "works for a cybersecurity firm under contract with the Defense Department. He might have information they wanted." Everything suddenly connected in Daniel's mind like a puzzle snapping into place. The mother wasn't the target. Her family was. Maria's radio crackled. "Detective Coleman, we found the second suspect's phone. Looks like it's been wiped, but tech is pulling fragments now." "Copy that," she said, then turned back to Daniel. "You've got good instincts, Sergeant. You might have just stopped something a lot bigger than a robbery." Daniel didn't respond right away. His eyes drifted to the patrol car where the mother and little girl sat. The child was playing with Scout through the window now, her tiny hand pressed against the glass as the dog licked it gently. That small, simple moment eased something inside him. Amid all the fear, there was still light, still innocence. Maria followed his gaze. "You've seen too much of this kind of chaos before, haven't you?" Daniel gave a quiet smile. "You never stop seeing it, Detective. You just learn how to stop it faster." Just then, a young officer ran up, holding a printout. "Detective, we got something." The signal from the tracker. "There's another one active about 2 blocks from here. Same frequency." Maria stiffened. "Another one? Where?" The officer hesitated. "At the elementary school nearby." Daniel's pulse spiked. The same direction the second suspect ran. Without waiting for orders, he grabbed Scout's leash and started moving toward his truck. Maria called after him, "Hey, this isn't your job anymore." He turned, his voice firm but calm. "It stopped being just my job when that little girl waved at me." She stared at him for a moment, then tossed him a spare police radio. "You're lucky I believe in instincts. Let's move." Within minutes, their convoy sped through the quiet suburban streets, sirens cutting through the afternoon air. Daniel's mind raced. Whoever this Ryan Voss was, he wasn't finished. And if the next target was a school, there was no time to waste. The weight of purpose filled Daniel's chest again, the same feeling he hadn't felt since the battlefield. But this mission wasn't about orders or medals. It was about one simple truth: protect the innocent. As the school's red brick building came into view, Daniel's hand tightened on Scout's leash. "Stay sharp, boy," he whispered. Whatever waited ahead, he knew one thing: this wasn't over. The patrol cars roared down Maplewood Avenue, their sirens slicing through the peaceful suburban air. Parents outside the Oak Ridge Elementary School turned in confusion as flashing lights filled the street. Children playing near the fence stopped, staring wide-eyed. Inside one of those police vehicles sat Sergeant Daniel Hayes, eyes sharp and steady, heart pounding with a mix of focus and dread. Detective Maria Coleman sat beside him, radio in hand. Unit 3, confirm visual. We're approaching the location now. Copy, the voice crackled. Security cameras show movement near the maintenance shed behind the school. Unknown male, hoodie, matches description of suspect Ryan Voss. Daniel clenched his fists. He's here. The convoy screeched to a stop at the curb. Officers fanned out instantly, taking defensive positions. Daniel stepped out, Scout leaping down beside him, alert and tense. The sound of children's laughter echoed faintly from the playground, beautiful and terrifying all at once. Maria signaled quietly. We go in careful. No panic. They moved swiftly across the schoolyard, Daniel's military instincts guiding every step. His senses sharpened. The faint hum of an air conditioning unit, the rustle of leaves, the crunch of gravel beneath boots. Everything told him they were close. Then Scout growled low, ears pricked toward the far corner of the school. Daniel raised a hand to halt the officers. He's close, he whispered. From behind the maintenance shed, a figure darted into view. Ryan Voss. He was thinner than Daniel remembered, his hoodie soaked with sweat. In his hand, a black duffel bag. Police. Drop the bag! Maria shouted, drawing her weapon. Ryan froze for half a second, then bolted toward the back door of the school. Go. Daniel barked, sprinting after him. His knee screamed in protest, but he ignored it. Scout charged ahead, barking furiously. Ryan crashed through the back door, startling two teachers who screamed and ran down the hall. The chaos inside spread fast, alarms blaring, children ushered into classrooms. Daniel chased Ryan through the narrow corridor, his boots pounding against the linoleum floor. Stop. You don't have to do this, Daniel shouted. Ryan turned sharply into the science lab, overturning a cart of supplies in his path. Daniel followed, pushing through glass and metal. The duffel bag landed on a table with a thud, the zipper half open. Inside, wires, batteries, and what looked like small transmitters. Step back, Ryan yelled, pointing a small remote at Daniel. You don't understand what's happening. Then make me understand, Daniel said calmly, his voice steady even as his pulse hammered. You planted one tracker already. Who sent you here? What's in the bag? Ryan's hands shook. You think I wanted this? I tried to stop it at Walmart, but they already planted another. There's more of them. Someone's using me. Maria and two officers appeared at the doorway, weapons drawn. Put it down, Ryan. Ryan looked from Daniel to the officers, then back again, desperation flooding his eyes. It's not a bomb, he said weakly. It's a relay transmitter. They told me it would just send signals. I didn't know it was for kids. Daniel took a slow step forward, lowering his voice. Listen to me, son. You can still make this right. Put the remote down. Ryan hesitated. His lip trembled. Then, as if something inside him finally broke, he dropped the device and fell to his knees, sobbing. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Daniel quickly moved in, securing the bag and signaling to Maria. She holstered her weapon and ordered the officers to take Ryan into custody. The immediate threat was over, but Daniel's gut told him something still didn't fit. Maria approached, inspecting the transmitters. These aren't ordinary trackers, she said, frowning. They're linked in a network. Whoever's behind this is watching multiple locations in real time. Daniel's gaze hardened. Then this wasn't about one family. It's about many. Outside, the school had gone into lockdown. Parents gathered along the perimeter, terrified. One little girl stood by the window of her classroom. Daniel recognized her immediately. The same girl from Walmart. She saw him standing there with Scout, and despite the fear in her eyes, she smiled and waved again. That simple gesture, the same wave that had started everything, hit Daniel right in the chest. The chaos, the danger, the noise, it all faded for a moment. All he saw was that little girl's innocent smile. And that reminded him why he did this. Maria's radio crackled again. Detective, we just pulled data from the tracker. It's transmitting to an address, downtown industrial district. Signal still active. Daniel's eyes locked with hers. Then that's where we're going next. She nodded. You in? He smiled faintly. I wasn't planning on sitting this one out. As they walked back toward the police convoy, Scout trotted faithfully beside him, tail wagging low. Daniel took one last look at the school, the laughter, the fear, the hope, and whispered under his breath, "Not on my watch." Night had fallen over the city. Rain drizzled against the dark glass of the patrol car as Daniel Hayes sat quietly in the passenger seat beside Detective Maria Coleman. The flashing city lights reflected in the puddles like broken stars. Their destination, an abandoned industrial warehouse on the east side, the location where the tracker's signal led. The atmosphere inside the car was tense but focused. "SWAT units are 5 minutes out," Maria said, adjusting her radio. "Thermal scans show 3, maybe 4 people inside. We go in quiet until backup arrives." Daniel nodded, eyes locked on the dark silhouette of the warehouse ahead. Something tells me this isn't just about tracking tech. Whoever's behind this wanted something much bigger. Maria glanced at him. "Still trusting those instincts?" He gave a half smile. "They haven't failed me yet." They pulled up to the edge of the fenced property. The air was thick with damp fog and the metallic scent of rust. Scout stepped out first, sniffing the air, tail stiff. Daniel followed, every nerve alert. They moved through a gap in the fence and approached the warehouse side door. Inside, faint voices echoed, hurried, nervous, panicked. Through a small crack, Daniel could see computer monitors glowing in the dark. Maria peered inside. "Looks like a command center." Daniel squinted. "That's not just data tracking, they're monitoring live GPS feeds. Schools, grocery stores, malls, they've planted trackers everywhere." It hit him like a cold wave. The devices weren't bombs or extortion tools, they were control points. Whoever owned that data could track anyone, anywhere, without being noticed. Before they could move, a loud clatter echoed from the far end of the warehouse. "We've been made," Daniel whispered. The side door burst open. 2 men rushed out, guns raised. Shots cracked through the night. Maria ducked behind a concrete barrier, returning fire. Daniel rolled to the side, pulling Scout close, heart pounding with soldier's reflexes. "Go around the side," Maria shouted. Daniel moved swiftly, circling behind the warehouse. He found a staircase leading up to a metal catwalk overlooking the main floor. From there he spotted the leader, a man in a suit, tall, composed, standing over the monitors like a conductor of chaos. "Status?" The man barked into his earpiece. "Do not lose that data feed. I want every signal active." Daniel's voice thundered from above. "You're done!" The man looked up, startled. "Who are you?" Daniel descended slowly, the echo of his boots heavy in the vast space. "Someone who's seen what happens when people like you get away with hurting innocents." The man smirked. "You have no idea what we're building. This is evolution. Control through observation. The government couldn't stop us, and you won't either." Maria entered from the side, gun trained on him. "Step away from the computers!" The man hesitated, eyes darting toward a small console on the table. Daniel's instincts screamed. "Maria, he's going for the switch." Before the man could press it, Daniel lunged forward. The two collided, crashing against the table. Sparks flew as equipment shattered. The computers flickered, the signal screens blinking out one by one. The man scrambled to his feet, shouting, "You just destroyed years of work." Daniel's voice was calm, deadly serious. "You mean years of tracking children, families, and veterans like me? Yeah, I can live with that." Scout barked, leaping forward and pulling the man down just as SWAT burst through the main doors. Officers swarmed in, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Within seconds, the entire operation was under control. As the dust settled, Maria approached Daniel, panting. "You just shut down one of the largest illegal surveillance networks in the country." Daniel glanced at the dark monitors, their glow fading into silence. "No," he said quietly. "We did." Outside, the rain had stopped. The first light of dawn began breaking over the horizon, washing the city in soft gold. The warehouse, once a hub of corruption, now stood quiet, a monument to what courage and instinct could achieve. Maria walked beside him as they exited the scene. "You know," she said with a smile, "you could have a future in law enforcement." Daniel chuckled softly. "I think I'll stick to shopping at Walmart," she laughed. "And saving the world while you're at it?" He looked down at Scout, who wagged his tail proudly. Sometimes saving one little girl is saving the world. As they reached the police cars, a familiar voice called out. Daniel turned. The mother and her daughter from Walmart stood there. The police had called them in to identify the suspect's photos. The little girl ran up to Daniel and hugged his leg tightly. "Mom said you're a hero," she said softly. "I just think you're really brave." Daniel knelt down, his eyes misting. "You're the real hero, sweetheart. That wave, you reminded me what I was fighting for." She smiled and waved again before leaving with her mom. Daniel watched them go, his heart finally at peace. For once, his instincts hadn't led him into battle. They'd led him toward purpose. He looked up at the morning sun, feeling something he hadn't in years. Hope.